part of this experiment is me growing as a human in community in this neighborhood and letting everyone witness it. This place feels so natural that it doesn't feel, when people are like, how'd you think of this? I'm like, how did you not think of it? It's a community space. Instead of this just being my house, I opened the doors to the community and I said, this is our house, come in, let's share it.
Welcome back to Your True Work. I am here with a local Dallas Oak Cliff legend, and her name is Taylor Madison. She's a Dallas-born entrepreneur, creator, and community builder. She founded Le Soul House and Le Chateau in Oak Cliff, a social club, wellness studio, and cafe with a kind of charm that feels straight out of a modern-day fairy tale. But Taylor's story didn't begin with a grand plan to launch a boutique members club. It began with a blog, a wanderlust heart, and a desire to lean into the feeling, not just the doing. Before Le Soul, she ran the blog The Simple Soul, and then evolved that into a members-only travel and community club called Soul Society. She's the living embodiment of scaling with intention. Taylor, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This means a lot, really.
I'm so honored that you took the time to make this appearance with me, because I know that you are so busy, and I'm sure so many people can relate to the idea of seeing you buzz around between houses. The world that you live in, Taylor, is so busy, so remarkable, and so filled with beautiful things, but it's also, just as your friend, I know that it can be overwhelming. And that's why I wanted to talk to you today, is because it's, as I mentioned in the intro, you really are the living embodiment of wanting to scale, but not wanting to withdraw into a more palatable version. You started with what was on your heart, and that's what we're living in today. Can you kind of walk us through that journey?
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you for the introduction. I feel like if anybody is fit to do that, it's you, because I've known you for so long, and I've known you through all of my many iterations of soul. It's always had soul in the name, but I am the queen of reinventing myself.
Same.
Which is, I'm learning is a beautiful thing, but I didn't always feel that way. I thought maybe something was wrong with me, or why can't I stick with something?
I would love to hear you take us through the journey of how you made this space.
Yeah, it was a natural evolution of needing to build community here. The way I knew how was okay, if I just invite someone to go on a trip with me, or, come to a party, something that I've created, that's a way that I can make friends. And that was the way that I knew to be worthy of finding that community, whether it was planning a cool trip, which you were on one of our first ones to
Morocco.
In Mexico City.
Oh, that's
Morocco,
right.
which is so cool. And then again, coming to some of our first parties, gatherings, which were moon circles in the living room, or I don't know, what are some other ones you came to at the
concerts.
beginning? Yes, there was always something that I was trying to create to build that community. So that was early on, when I had the energy and space to just be inviting everyone to things. I was so hungry for that community. And then during COVID, I had a lot of time to think about what would be sustainable. And I built a garden and got chickens, and that's where Le Soul came.
Where did this desire for wellness and sustainability come from? Because it's not just beauty, it's very much rooted in this organic, earthy, meditation wellness space. So where did that come from?
I think in my 20s, I was really lost and had a lot of anxiety, and I've suffered from depression since I was a teenager, and I've always been a spiritual seeker. And so my grandmother is a yoga teacher and took me to some yoga retreats in my 20s. I got that experience, and I always, when I was building this, kept that in my. So I think travel has always informed those experiences that I've had when I've traveled, whether they've been spiritual experiences. That has informed some of the experiences and the beauty that I brought to this place, but also the sustainability. In my 20s, when I got into the luxury travel business as a travel agent, it was not something I wanted to do. I needed to pivot from the blog. I found a way to make it work for myself, but being a luxury travel agent, I got a peek behind the curtain, I think, of what could be the ultimate dream, to be able to go to these places. And I started taking people on the group trips. And it got so much attention and so much press, and that felt cool and sustainable in the sense of like, okay, these are friendships that are deepening when we're traveling and we're getting to experience these amazing experiences together, and then coming back to Dallas and being able to like, get together. So that did feel one step closer. But then it kind of felt like, okay, well, we need a place to gather. We need a place to hang out before and after these trips and to ideate and to create together. Yeah.
And, you know, now that you say that, I totally am putting the pieces together. So the trips that you're describing to Morocco and Mexico City were so almost life-changing for the people that were on that trip, including myself. One, because every time you experience a new country, a new city, whatever it is, but definitely a new country, you learn something new about yourself and you uncover something new about yourself.
Yes.
And so there's that element, but then also the curation that happened. Naturally, we found one another on these trips, and it was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I needed to know you until now. And so I can totally see how you pulled from that and then embedded that into a local source that could happen, because that does happen here at Soul House. I was talking to my husband about Joshua, about what do we think of whenever we think of Soul House. And some of the things that we were talking about that are common between how he sees it, how I see it. And of course, like, I have other friends and family members that come here. And so we're just so embedded in the community that we can kind of talk about it. And it really is like a place for yourself, like to slow down and to ground yourself in your present day on a daily basis because of the wellness classes and because of all the great programming that you have. But then also, you know, the co-working that you can come and do. And with that co-working is so beautiful to see how I can connect with other people who are, I want to say like-minded, but I also don't want to make it too narrow to where it's like only one type of person, because it's really not. There are so many people who are, you know, working from home that come here that are in a corporate career, but then there's also entrepreneurs, and then there's people who kind of don't know what they want to do with their life, but they're being called and they're coming through here. And so it's like all different walks of life, but the center of it, much like you said, is like this desire and this quest for some spirituality. When you come here, it's a pocket of stillness. It's a pocket of peace. And whatever you're creating in this space is contained in this space, and you step out and you go back into Dallas. And so I feel that. I feel how you've pulled from your past experiences, which I'm so honored that I was a part of, and have embedded that into today's version of Soul House. And thank you so much for doing that. Like, I don't think you understand how amazing it is, because you are, as I've mentioned a couple of times now, you are a living embodiment of like deciding to lead with your heart and make something that didn't exist before and work through the trials and triumphs through it, all because you really believe in it. Like, can you tell me, what do you hang on to whenever it is becoming overwhelming, or maybe, you know, thinking about those early days of when you were turning this house into what it is and then moving on to a second property? Like, I can only imagine there are so many limiting beliefs that, and moments of like testing you, are you going to make it through this? What do you hang on to? What do you cling to during those moments?
Yes. Thank you for reflecting back all of that to me. I would never be able to get to the point I am today if this wasn't my purpose. And I'm very passionate about the local community, because that to me is what gets me through this scary, scary world that we're living in. And every day it feels heavy and like, what are we doing here? What is this? But if you just put your blinders on for me, and I'm like, all I can do is make a change in my community or make an impact or create a safe, still place for people to come to, I think it keeps me going. And I have definitely tapped into like a higher purpose and power, because, you know, this isn't, like you said in the intro, there was no grand plan for this. This is truly a work of art that is getting unearthed every day as we speak. And I'm pivoting and I'm listening and I'm watching, because like we have gone through so many iterations, and changes in behaviors and what we're looking for since I met you in 2017, 2018. Like, it's really beautiful for you to reflect back the stillness. And what you were saying, there needs to be places like this in community, and like all the networking and the universe orchestrated all these when we were going on these Soul Society trips, and all of these artists and creatives were getting together and we were having these transformational experiences. That does happen here, like in a less extreme way, in a less showy way. And I think that that also for me feels more grounded and authentic and calming, especially with our nervous systems and everybody's just going back to living kind of this extreme life of either I was like being seen and hosting in an extreme way, or I was like hiding away. And during COVID, I really took some time to think about, okay, this isn't sustainable for me and my personality type. Like, I'm actually an introvert and an introverted extrovert, I guess, but I really need a lot of quiet time and alone time to get clear and to get calm and to figure out where I'm moving next. So I do think that La Soul House, these spaces do create a really authentic way for people to connect with whatever it is they're looking for. If it's professional, if it's spiritual, if it's like friendships that they're needing in that moment. There's something different for different seasons, I guess.
You mentioned earlier pivoting and staying true to your gut. I feel like we can find sequences in our lives that will always happen.
Yeah.
Like, you can always tell that something's going to happen because you feel a certain way. And then right after that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
we just work in cyclical ways.
Yes.
Is there a pattern that happens where you're like, okay, it's time to pivot again?
Yeah, I think, when Soul Society and Soul House were getting so much momentum, and we were having they were moon parties or moon circles, spiritual parties, but then there was also like music stuff going on and late night parties, that wasn't sustainable because I'm not a late night person. But then COVID happened. There's always something that happens to help you kind of recenter and readjust. And obviously COVID did that for a lot of people. It closed a lot of doors and it was a really hard time, but there was beautiful things that were born out of it. And out of that for me was a more like rooted Taurinian, is that even a word? Taurus, like
I love it.
Taurinian energy that felt like the garden and the earth and getting really connected into that. I remember when we launched the membership and we just had this house, it was like, okay, there was a point where it was like, oh no, we can only grow so much. Like what, the little fear starts to creep in, or how am I going to keep, and then a door opens, the house next door comes available, and you move in that direction. You're like, oh, why did I worry? Why didn't I keep trusting? So, and then there's obviously hard things that happen and like doors that shut that are painful. And I've experienced a lot of that this year with building a team in such a personal way, and friendships and community and boundaries, and leading in a more matriarchal way. But I don't have a guidebook for that. I am definitely not a perfect leader and I have so much to learn, but I do so with compassion and do it with my whole heart. And that's like, I've been heartbroken this year. And so how do you balance that with also, like, I care so much about this community and I care so much about my team and my members and everybody that walks through these doors that sometimes I also forget to care for myself. Yeah. So that's the journey I'm on now of like, okay, I have spent the last how many ever years just building this and putting myself kind of like a mom, like when I'm not a mom, but you are, like, it's so selfless. But then at some point you have to take care of yourself so that you can better take care of your kids and your family. So I'm trying to figure that out because there's just, I don't think you can have it all and do it all. I think there's seasons for each thing. But I'm realizing that of like, okay, you really can't do it all in one season. I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
mom.
I think that you are so good at being focused on a task, and albeit big tasks, you were just so focused at holding a vision long enough to make it come to life, to, I'm sure, a detriment of, your own physical well-being or mental health. And I think that that's actually why I created this podcast, is because whenever I am talking to entrepreneurs, it always comes down to that. There's always a point where you are navigating, either learning how to like put your heart into your career and what you're making. You already do that, so you don't fall into that category of like, how do I put my heart into it? It's like your heart is so into it. But then there's the other side of like, how do I not lose myself in it?
Yes.
And it sounds like you're more working through that side of it.
Yeah, there's a guy, Zach Bush, that I'm just starting to get into. Have you listened to him?
No, I haven't.
It's all about like the laws of nature, but he is actually talking about getting out of your, like being sometimes so in your heart and being so heart-led. And I'm like, I don't know where he goes if you don't go in the heart, because it's not the head, but it's like, it just made me realize, okay, maybe that's something for me to learn from, of you can't be all heart and not, I don't think we even know what that looks like. Anyways, that's a whole other thing. But do you talk about astrology on this podcast? I'm a Capricorn rising, but I'm a Sagittarius, for those of you that are interested. So I am definitely a big picture person. I'm not type A. I love holding a bigger vision than smaller details. So I've had to learn to really surround myself with people that love doing the details. But the Capricorn rising in me is all about legacy and leaving something after you leave the earth. And it feels like I've really tapped into that. Like I am able to just keep at it even. And then we were kind of having a conversation inside today about somebody you were working with not seeing you for a little while and then realizing, wait, you're really good at what you do. And I think that there's been part of that with the soul of not people underestimating me, but like being like, wait, how did you get all, and it's like, well, I've been working on this quietly for so many years and just had my head down and focused. And so I'm proud of that, but that's my Capricorn energy coming in.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's some clues for people out there who are feeling like they have an idea that they're still trying to germinate and like get out there. And really it does come down to the fact that like you just didn't give up. You are not giving up. And then to kind of touch on how you were talking about leaving your heart space and where does that go to, that's actually somewhere that I've been exploring lately. I have been listening to Course in Miracles, and it's just sent me on a different journey. I actually was making a Métier Council membership so that we could be working on a central focus together every month. And like I had this whole idea for it. I had made the website. I had created content to live on that website. I'd put already like a year into it, and I launched it and I had a month of it, and then I canceled it all because I got new information.
Wow.
And I was like, this new information I feel like is making a huge transformation in me. And the way that I talk about entrepreneurship and leading in entrepreneurship, I think is going to sound a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And I want to do that authentically, so I pulled everything back. But that is where I've been led to talk more about where does that leave us in the moments of struggle of like losing ourselves. In my opinion and in my research, I've come to realize that like that there's a lot that we make based on desires, based on what we want for ourselves and what we want for those that, our work will touch. And then there's a lot that we have no control over.
Yeah.
And that's what we leave our faith into the universe or God or whatever it is that you're using as a leading light for, your life. And I've come to realize that like the more that we can release into the idea that like I'm really not controlling everything, that I'm going to end up exactly where I need to be.
Yes.
And I recently did a talk about being exactly where you need to be because looking over my life and thinking about all the magical moments that have happened, they always happen after a shitty moment has happened. That's what makes it magical, is that I didn't see it coming, that I in some way had to release into the moment. And then I found myself being like surprised by life. And I mentioned that because I feel like that's where we can start to shift our mindset, is like lead from the heart, build something that's authentic to you, and then start to be honest about what's working, what's not working, and then the stuff that breaks your heart, the stuff that like is just completely pulling at you, completely release into that and release with it and say like, I don't have any control of that. And see what life completely surprises you with. Does that resonate with you at all?
Yes, it does, because heartbreak led me to create all this. I had already had all of this in my soul, but after 2 heartbreaks, like serious romantic heartbreaks, 3 actually, 3 heartbreaks. And I was like, this is crazy, but it cracked me wide open. I had to take that pain and put it into something and create something to put myself back together and to find myself, because I had lost myself in these partners. And I have taken a long hiatus from romantic relationships, honestly, for the last 5 years, which is kind of crazy, you know, because everyone wants to ask you, who are you dating? Are you dating? You know, especially my dad is like, when are you going to get a boyfriend? When are you going to get married? When are you going to have kids? And it's like, telling myself I'm not late, like, because there are a lot of timelines that I've missed that do feel late to society, but in so many ways I focus my energy other places. So I'm turning 37 next month, and I think that is also part of my mission, being a leader and creating La Soul, is to show women specifically that you're not late, nothing's wrong with you. Kind of breaking free from those socials, all the social scripts everyone wants to put on you. You need to get married by this, you need to have kids by this time, and I'm not doing any of those things.
Thank you for saying that, actually. That also is something that I have been exploring this year. Me personally, I've always been a high-performing photographer, filmmaker, and much like how you were describing how people ask you about, like, who are you dating? What are you doing? I always heard, what client are you working with? What is your next goal? Like, where are you going? And that's how I would measure how good or not good my life was. Not my career, my life. And I have come to realize during this year, which has been the slowest year of my entire career. I tell this story a lot because if I had heard this story for myself earlier on, I think that it would change my perspective of what we're doing here on Earth. Because at the beginning of this year, I was like, okay, I've got 1 to 2 months and then I'm going to be destitute. I'm going to be some hobo under the bridge and everyone's going to know my failures. And I was just so ready for it at that point, because I was like, nothing is coming in. All of the bills are due. What is left? What was me? And yet I was still in my home, my comfortable home with my beautiful family, and I was fine. So I just inched forward reluctantly. Obviously, you have to sleep, you have to wake up. So the next day came along. And slowly I started realizing that everything was still okay. Like, even though I was having to make up for the lack of income that was happening by budgeting, by making smarter choices in my lifestyle to match the level of income that was coming in. And so my point is that I just kept going, and I started to loosen up a little bit, realizing that life wasn't crumbling around me and nobody was coming to my front door saying, you suck, and now everybody knows that you suck.
And taking, like, and also coming to take your home away, your sense of safety. I've experienced this. There's been a lot of cycles this year, and I've had some friends move in and out that have also been going through this, and we're like, what is happening this year? Like, major trust being like so much surrender having to happen. But the money stuff, it's really scary. And as I'm also an overachiever and always have been, and that's a way that I've like stayed in control. This year has, when things are slower, like so slow, and the bills are due, and what am I going to do? And the sense of security that that takes away from you. But then after you sit with it and you sit with the discomfort and you realize, okay, I'm safe. I'm still in my home. We're like reparenting that part of ourselves that if I stop for a minute, it's going to be okay. Because
Yes.
that is hard for me. And that brings it back to like on a daily basis here, I measure, like, I don't feel like I worked hard enough today. I didn't get through all my to-do list. What did I even do today? And then it's like, oh my gosh, this monster. And also, I'm so tired. If I stop, it's all going to fall apart.
Yeah.
But it's not.
It's not. The only things that fall apart are the things that really weren't stable to begin with.
Yes.
And that was a big learning lesson for me. Also, where I was leading with that is that money started literally falling from the sky. I'm not joking you. Like
Wow.
stuff that from like repayments from IRS that were not programmed or scheduled to come in anytime soon. Getting amazing deals on bills that like were just slashed down.
Wow.
I ended up saving so much money, so much money during this period of time that I'm talking about, that I had more money in my bank account than the year before.
Wow.
Which is just like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I take that as a marker of, oh yeah, what's determining my level of safety is not my job. It's me. It's my sense of attunement to like, I literally know that I am abundant. Like nobody has to say or agree with me on that. It just is. And that is the same for everybody.
Yeah.
But I am finally now claiming it and saying like, okay, well then let me work with it.
Yeah.
Because if I've never been the type to be like, okay, I'm going to go out and like find my next client and I'm going to be so diligent about it. Like I've never been like that. It's always been about like organic connections that are just kind of like good timing and that I'm preparing the right work out there for people to find me.
Yes.
And if they're not coming, then it's just not the time for that. Because why is it that, you know, I haven't changed my approach, but things aren't coming in right now? It's a very clear sign to me that I need to be working on something else right now.
Yeah.
And so I have and trusted in that experience and all of my needs are met. And the big thing is that like I personally am a very practical person as well as a very spiritual person.
Yes.
So while so while I'm waiting for those beautiful, mystical, magical things to align, I'm very diligent to work with the practicality of the moment. Walk in faith that you are walking in that direction. But like use what you got and make choices based on what you got.
The budgeting, because that's, you know, time is such a valuable resource. The more we have in our orbit to take care of, the less time we have. So you were gifted this time to look at your finance. That's been really scary for me to look at this year, and I've needed to like slow down and look at where is everything flying to, because if you're just going, you need time to sometimes scale it back and sit and look at everything and reevaluate. So it's a beautiful, like reframing it that you were gifted this time.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you're really good at going with the flow. Like I never see you pivoting in a direction that's not in service to your community or you. And that's so beautiful to see. Is there anything that you feel like you wish you knew at the beginning, but that you know now?
Oh my God. Well, thank God I didn't know how hard it was going to be. Because if I would have been so scared when I was just a solo travel agent. I was like, I want to build a big team. Like I craved that community. I wanted the team. But thank goodness I didn't know how hard it was going to be to like manage, grow, build a team. And I think the way that our team operates is very matriarchal. There's no hierarchy, but you know, we've had to learn there's structure and all these things that we've implemented and grown together. So that's one thing that I am glad I didn't know how hard it was going to be. But the question was,
what's something you would want her to know?
Okay. Probably just that I'm worthy of this and that I have what it takes, because I do think part of this experiment, and this is very much an experiment, is me growing as a human in community in this neighborhood and letting everyone witness it in a way. Because La Soul is truly an extension of me, there has been parts where I've had to hide away and been really insecure and been, more like just so many ups and downs. And so through that, I've built more self-confidence in myself because I remember in the early days, like Leon, I remember, he's, a famous musician saying to me, like, thank you so much for everything you did for me. Or like, I wish I could live here. Like looking around, I'm like, what? There was so many times that there was these big moments that were reflected back to me that I was like, whoa, I don't see that.
So are you saying that that's a reflection of how you felt unworthy?
Yeah. Like, I wish that I could go back and be like, you could see all those things along the way, but that's not reality. And this is part of the journey, is to grow. And now I'm starting to really realize, okay, like La Soul, I've had enough feedback that La Soul is enough for so many people. And I feel really good about that. And I think that gives me energy to climb the mountain that's ahead of me.
Yeah.
So, and I'm up for the challenge because I know that I can do it.
What is something that you feel like people who have not experienced the community aspect of La Soul House, what do you think that they should know, or that is maybe a misconception that you would like to set straight for people who know about the space but don't really know what it's like to walk through these halls, go through these events?
Yeah, we welcome everyone with open arms, so coming to experience for themselves. But communities need places like this. They need third spaces. They need other places outside of coffee shops and just bars, churches to gather. And, we're not just a co-working space. Like, it truly, there's a sense of community here. So there are some misconceptions out there about some grand plan to buy this house and turn it into this, but this was just an organic evolution. And this was me listening to the community and wanting to be a part of the community. Um, and also, I think the other thing too is the house that we bought next door is it's preservation. Is that the right thing to say when you're saving a house? There's so much. It's 100 years old this year, and it's so rich with history. And the spring that's across the street, Kid Springs Park, is actually on our property. There's a well. It was used during Prohibition. There's so much history of the house, but it's also, preservation is very expensive, and community needs to come together to be preserving these places. And single family homes, like, it's just not, we need to be saving and preserving nature together. And that's truly what La Soul is. I got a postcard, whether or not you want to put this in the podcast or not, but we got a postcard the other day somebody had designed and take the time to send to the post office, and it said, can you please replace this hideous fence on Canty Street? The one that's, which we haven't changed it since the previous owners. But we've gotten quotes on that fence, and it's like $40,000 to replace because of the trees. But then there's neighbors too that, are, unhappy or complaining. And there's very few of those, honestly, that are right here because our neighbors love us. But preservation, you want a neighborhood beautiful, you can't have, you have to be willing to compromise and come together and get creative and find ways to make your neighborhood more beautiful and save it and protect it and preserve it. And because all these houses are getting torn down because it's expensive.
What would it take someone to?
Oh my God. It takes a lot of your own money. I still don't pay myself. We still are not making money. This takes a lot of dedication and really being willing to see it through. Every cent I've ever made from travel has gone back into this community. And, these two houses on this corner in this neighborhood, we're still investing in this dream. Yeah. So it takes a lot, and it takes time and energy and dedication and a lot of money.
So why do you do it?
I ask myself that every day. I'm like, why am I working this hard? Why am I killing myself? It's my passion. I'm so passionate about it. I can't stop myself. I'm obsessed, and And I think obviously like the community members that do come through the door, or even, international people, my travel, there's days where there's like 5 different languages, people speaking in the house, and them reflecting back, please bring this to our city. And, people from New York or Austin, places that you would think would have something like this, being like, can you open this here? Miami, every city basically being like, can you bring the soul to our city? And I'm like, what? You don't have this here? And also, like, this place feels so natural that it doesn't feel, when people are like, how'd you think of this? I'm like, how did you not think of it? It's a community space. Instead of this just being my house, I opened the doors to the community and I said, this is our house. Come in. Let's have coffee together. Let's do yoga. Let's do all the things. Let's share it. And also because it's way more economical, like we need to be sharing things in order to, beautiful things cost money.
Yeah.
So
it takes money to run it. So don't be surprised by that aspect, but also let me pour into you by giving you the best beauty that I can offer you.
Yes.
That's how I perceive it.
Yeah.
From what you said.
And that's what is beautiful about this space, is that people walk through the doors and bring their selves into the space and their gifts. And it's ultimately what colors the space. I mean, yes, we know how to create a calming, authentic, beautiful environment, good programming, good things that the community needs. But ultimately, like every person that walks in this door that says, like, I want to be a part of this, lights me up, because I'm like, okay, we can keep doing this, because it does take community being invested together and seeing it and seeing the dream. The dream is to live in a rich community together that we can share and share all aspects of our life, because it does feel fragmented living in Dallas, and I'm sure other places too, that how can we show up fully and not just like workout class here, dressed up self here. All these versions of ourselves are fragmented and we're going all around the city. Like, let's all be together and know each other fully as our whole selves. And I think those
people can come here and spend like 2 hours, 3 hours if they want to here and have all of those experiences under one roof.
Yes. Yeah, you can do the wellness, you can have the social aspect, you can bring your work self in, but you can also bring your work self in a casual setting. It's really beautiful to see the people that do choose to participate in this and bring themselves fully into it, what they get out of it. I'm like blown away.
What is something that you would like to kind of see more in Soul House's future?
I would like to see the membership grow, because with that, we can also all come together and do. I know there's so much potential. So, yeah.
Is there something that like we haven't even seen yet? You know what I mean? Like,
yes. There are things, yes, that I'm holding for 2026, like a vision for that. Like, I think we always try to surprise our community and members. Like, we're always improving. We're always kind of ahead of the curve. And I'm going to say this because I want to manifest it. And I don't know how I'm going to get there. Well, I have some ideas, but I would really like La Soul Littles, because I think past a certain point with our moms, there's only so much we can support and do right now with realistically where we're at. So I would love to be able to have the resources, the time, the energy to bring that program to life. That was my first job out of college, was early childhood education. I was a kindergarten teacher. So I love kids, but I also know how important that is for society to care for the moms and care for the kids and bring that aspect of ourselves. Like we were talking about all the different aspects and not fragmented parts that we have to. I want that for moms. And, I wish I could snap my fingers and have more property and be able to have all of the permits that you need for little ones, but would be a dream.
Wow, that's so amazing. Yeah. Well, maybe someone out there is listening and wants to partner with making that come to life, because that definitely would be the next step of evolving our culture. And you're right, you are at the forefront of like culture bending things where if we're saying our future should be more integrated, more village feeling, that is the next step. So that would be really cool to see. Well, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I'm so honored again that you took the time to share so openly and vulnerably with me. I know you don't do it very often. So this is an absolute treat, and I hope that our listeners have really gotten a taste for the behind the scenes of what it takes to make something like La Soul House, which it has such a big name around it. People have heard of it. Maybe some of them have come, maybe have not. But now they know, and hopefully when they take a step through these grounds, they have a little bit more reverence for it, just like you do.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.